I was wondering what to say. Um, I think that as we look forward, the critical question is not about frameworks or goals, but about visions and paradigms. I think that notwithstanding, Amy, your processes and scenarios, the world will sort of make up its decisions in the usual mixed up way that it does. And I think what happens or how legitimate it is or who is finally in charge of it will be dictated really more by the substance of it rather than the process of it. And I think far too much discussion so far, I'm not here talking about this panel, I'm here talking about the debates so far, have been about positioning and scenarios and processes, and not enough about the content of the development we wish to see after 2015. And goals and targets are literally just derivatives of that. They are by themselves not the important thing. They will be, I guess, in practical terms, they are, but they are shaped by the sort of world people wish to construct, rather than the other way around. You first invent the goals and targets and frameworks, and then from that emerges the world that you want. So my concern is that that the debate is still very, very reductionist, as opposed to really tackling the fundamental issues of greed and grievance, the fundamental issues about the relationships among countries, between peoples. We live in a globalized but very divided world, and I think the debate on actually the sort of world we want to have, and that the poorest, most vulnerable, and the most marginalized deserve, hasn't been isn't as strong as it should be. And my worry is that the debate on the actual technicalities of the post-2015 framework will obscure the real questions. The real, I think, value of the debate, I hope over the next few years, will be in not only coming out with a sensible formula in a way, but also if it changes our thinking, and if it unites people, and it puts a mirror to our collective face, and shows up the crises, the vulnerabilities, and all the other factors which underpin poverty and marginalization, really. So that's my key question. Whether the process and debates and institutional structures and committees and forums and think tanks and such like, whether or not we are lifting up the debate, or whether we are actually playing with the kind of deck chairs in a way and trying to figure out the best way to arrange the room. And so far, I think the debate has not been joined, though there are there's a lot of nothing new there really, a lot of commentary and a lot of issues that we can all think of. We now have more overweight people than hungry people in the world. So clearly, there has been progress on the MDGs. We have more people in school, but we have more people more children in school, but we have more people on the streets and more later on the unemployment queue. So clearly there has been progress in that regard as well. So it all depends, really, that if the new generation, if the new framework leaves behind, it makes progress, as undoubtedly, I mean, there's bound to be progress. It's almost impossible not to have progress. But if it leaves more people behind, then it progresses. And is the progress of many at the cost of others, however many the others might be, worth it or not worth it? And whether or not that happens will be shaped by the sort of visions, paradigms, and attendant strategies and targets that flow from it. That's why the debate on the substance is important, because that will shape actually what the prescription is going to be that follows. I think also that it is true that the voices of the poor are extremely important. Who could disagree with that? But by and large, not but, cut out the but in the editing, please. Nevertheless, is that a better word? Slightly better.
Slightly.
Well, nevertheless, I think we have to understand that the people are also looking for leadership. So if you go around sort of consulting away in some kind of random fishing exercise, then I'm not really sure how kind of productive that process is going to be, other than to validate what we already know, which is that poor people have needs and wants, and they are the needs and wants that have been there for generations. And your study, I think, is very good in that regard, Amy, and others as well. This is not to say that that consultation is not important, and consultation is a very important part of that legitimacy that we are all seeking. And I think the voices of the poor and marginalized must definitely be raised up. But I'm just sort of counseling a degree of not to be too sentimental, about it. That a bit of that tokenism, that kind of the ritual of consultation, which often overtakes the reality. And in the end, you're right. I mean, in the end, the only legitimate process is an intergovernmental process. And I can't see governments delegating this to civil society, and neither should they. You don't have governments for nothing. You have governments to basically do their job and be responsible, and to honor the social compact with the citizens. And definitely, this is not civil society's role to do the role of governments and let them off scot-free. So I think in the end, the intergovernmental process, and at the moment we only have one forum for that, the UN, will undoubtedly make the final decisions of that. I think we can be reasonably sure. But the way to get there and inject real substance into the content, if you like, of the development paradigm or framework is really important, in the sense that the debate, it doesn't matter which channels one follows, but the debate must be on the specificities. It must be on exactly the choices that we have to make in terms of being able to have a sustainable planet and an inclusive world where people can live in peace and can actualize their full potential. And that requires really a definition of development. I mean, it sounds such a basic question. What is development? And there are many definitions of development, of course. But underpinning all this will have to be this, what I keep on going back to, the vision and paradigm of development and the definitions for it. So I would like to see more debate and more energy and more effort going into that currently, and leaving aside to a later date to the more technical issues in a way. Now, I think in any case, I was wondering about how one would actually do consultations with people, poor or otherwise, unless, as I was saying, unless you go for a fishing exercise, you have to actually consult people on some hypothesis, some theory, some set of propositions, and then people can say a yes or no to that. And getting to that set of propositions is where we need to get to, reasonably quickly now, if the consultations over the next 2-3 years are to have real meaning. And Amy and I were together at a kind of expert. I hesitate to use the word expert, but well, Amy is the expert anyway. A gathering in Bellagio, which was co-hosted by the International Federation where I work and the Center for International Governance Innovation in Canada, along with the Rockefeller Foundation. And we had a long and hard debate, and a report of that is nearly ready. It will be available shortly, on what we think are these hypotheses or propositions, underpinning a framework. Just to give you a little preview of what a set of goals might look like. We kind of, and this, Amy, is not necessarily what we agreed in our Bellagio meeting. This is my personal editorializing of it, and you probably disagree violently with some of those issues, but that's great. I mean, that's good for debate, not great, really. But here is my kind of personal take on some of the discussions that we've had on what a future set of goals would look like. Firstly, I think we have to completely reword them. The idea of incrementalism, that is, you just extend some of the current goals and add on a few years to them, or you just add on a few other little bits and pieces, is really not on. It's been hugely disappointing the world. The world is looking for something different, something new. It is not looking for it is not looking for more of the same, and neither is it looking for something reasonable. The problem is we are all surrounded by reductionists, technocrats, people who believe in the art of the possible, but who refuse to kind of inspire, dream, and lead the world. And we need that. We need that. The world, which is so depressed, and I could see, living in Geneva now, I don't come to London very often, and I could see in this great city, whatever, I don't know, what is it, fifth largest economy still, or is it going down? How it's kind of depressed people are. And whether that was my bad mood because of my train not working, I don't know, you see. But this is the second time in a month I've been to London. And I just thought to me, and I'm British, by the way, so I can speak with some legitimacy here. Is this it? I mean, is this it, really? Is this the future development? Is this 2015? Is it just 2015 is just a bit of the past with some bells and whistles added on and a few little reordering of the deck chairs, while the world sinks, if you like. But that's the tone of some of the discussions that are taking place, you see, including some of the expert discussions in which I have been a part. And that's pretty disappointing. And I think, thinking of the poor like to actually have hopes and dreams. So while the poor may want full stomachs, and they may want a roof over their head, and they may want all freedom from rape and violence and all the things that we can all understand and know. They want much more than that. And if a post-2015 development framework does not provide that diet of the spirit and soul, and simply confines itself to what it is now and all the technocratic discussions, then I think we will have failed miserably. And we will continue, down our kind of miserable path that we are currently on, despite the progress being made. No doubt we'll have more overweight people, and that'll be, further. But no doubt we will have AIDS will be vanquished, HIV will be vanquished, and malaria will be history in a decade or two, and that'll be progress. But more people will die of suicide, are dying of road traffic accidents, are dying of heart disease. Those are lifestyle conditions. And a strong element of that is actually really the kind of the way people people feel. Let me conclude then, therefore, by simply saying that the process is going to be chaotic, fantastic. More chaos, the better. The more let 6 billion voices cause confusion. Let them all tweet and Facebook and interact and God knows what else we do. Great, let us have the most confusing noise. Let people like Amy get a headache, because in her policy analyst role, she will be busy trying to make sense of all these kind of discordant voices and images, and she and her friends will be happily employed for years to come, and that's great. And let's also have a little bit of a revolutionary approach to this. Let's actually turn the world upside down, if we can, through the process of debate and dialogue. So what may emerge from this might actually be not quite very much what we want. Sorry, I was going to preview the goals. 12 goals proposed, clustered under 3 headings. I distinguish, so strictly speaking, shouldn't claim to represent anyone else. A structure which is around basically differentiating the goals which are concerned with the essential endowments necessary for individuals to achieve their fuller potential. This is basically around livelihoods, food, water, education and skills, health and such like. Health for achieving well-being, whether you are in Canada or in Chad, depending on your local epidemiology, and not on a list of diseases. We want health-related goals, not disease-related goals. A set of goals, 4 of them propose around protecting and what I call protecting and promoting collective human capital. And that's gender equality, security, resilient communities in the face of disasters, and connectivity for essential access to information services and opportunities. Then a final set of goals, which are the effective provision of public goods. 4 goals. One is about empowerment, about civil and political rights. Other is about the sustainable management of the biosphere, which is about climate change and all the other stuff that goes with it, including biodiversity and such like. A third about rules for running the world economy, and a fourth about governance, global good governance, if you like, for institutions and such like. And under this kind of broad architecture, you could imagine you could imagine countries to set their own targets, and then for them to set their own indicators. And I think when we work through some of the list of potential indicators, and they're very feasible. Let not the numerical approach to measurement stand in the way of sensible definition of targets and assessing results. Numbers are important. Statistics are also extremely important. There are ways of, but the problem is the science of measurement risks driving the goals you select, rather than the goals leading to innovation in thinking and in the application of the various techniques we have in finding out ways of measuring them. When you go and ask people how to measure whether or not their lives are making progress, they tell you far more interesting ways of measuring their lives making progress than some of the reductionist targets, reduction indicators we have. So let me stop here by saying that in our crisis scarce world, we need to be aroused to overcome our borderless challenges and to sustain our common humanity. And that ultimately is the test of our 2015 framework. And whether or not we achieve that is going to be critical to all our efforts in the coming few years. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much indeed. And thanks for giving